All right, the county commissioner meeting will come back to order. I think we've delayed the inevitable long enough.
I tried to kill it.
Item number 9.
Item number 9, proclamation recognizing the retirement of Henry Yankowski, El Paso County Administrator. Mark Waller, Chair, Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you. Colleagues, it's with great regret I move the following proclamation. It's a proclamation recognizing the retirement of Henry Yankowski, El Paso County Administrator. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado regretfully acknowledges the retirement of Henry Yankowski after serving 3.5 years as El Paso County Administrator. And whereas Mr. Yankowski is retiring from a construction, inspection, and leadership career spanning 40 years across many states, including New York, Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Florida, where he has mentored and served citizens and employees alike. And whereas Henry first moved to El Paso County in December of 2006 after he was selected to lead the Pikes Peak Regional Building Department. And whereas during his time with the Pikes Peak Regional Building Department, Henry was known for supporting regional needs, collaborating with local governments and stakeholders, and deploying new technology to improve efficiency. And whereas Henry was appointed County Administrator by the Board of El Paso County Commissioners in 2015, where he continued his tradition of collaboration and leadership. And whereas Henry's accomplishments are many, including championing the EDARP and Citizens Connect platforms, which allow citizens to submit development plans and citizen feedback electronically, improving the county employee health care benefit plan, and instituting a tuition reimbursement program for employees. And whereas Henry also invested in county IT infrastructure and championed a facilities master plan, a water master plan, and a planning and development master plan, which will all help shape future development in El Paso County for decades to come. And whereas Henry's deep care for citizens and employees fostered an environment empowering their ideas and initiatives and magnifying their successes. And whereas Henry will be fondly remembered for being attentive, inclusive, gregarious, jovial, having a deep love of history, and for being quick with a story that's not so quick from his past adventures. I added that last little part there. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, hereby proclaims its gratitude and extends its best wishes for a happy and fulfilling retirement to Henry Yankowski after years of dedicated service. It's done this 25th day of April 2019, Colorado Springs, Colorado. It's signed by the Board of County Commissioners, Mark Waller, Chair, Lojinos Gonzalez, Jr., Vice Chair, Holly Williams, Stan Vanderwerf, and Cammie Bremer, Commissioners. And it's attested to by our clerk and recorder. Could I have a second, please?
I would like to offer a heartfelt second.
Thank you. All right, now we're going to read a proclamation by NACA, which is the National Association of County Administrators, and Commissioner Gonzalez is going to do that. And Henry, you can sit on the stool down here because it's going to be a while.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'd like to read into the record on behalf of the National Association of County Administrators. Proclamation of the National Association of County Administrators recognizing Henry Yankowski for his years of service. Whereas Henry Yankowski was appointed to the position of At-Large Director, Mountain Plains Region for the National Association of County Administrators on July 23rd, 2017, where he assumed the challenging task of representing the association and the profession across 14 states. And whereas Henry was awarded honorary membership in the association on March 3rd, 2019 by unanimous consent of the Executive Board for his dedication to the association and in recognition of a career of devoted public service. And whereas, spanning a career of over 4 decades, Henry has served the greater good of communities across the United States by offering his skills as a local government professional, exemplifying the value of professional county management. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the National Association of County Administrators does hereby confer upon Henry Yankowski its highest commendation for the manner in which he has performed his duties with the association, with special thanks for his professionalism and dedication to service. As an experienced and respected county professional and a member of the association for life, he will continue to represent the association, the profession, and county governments with dignity and honor. Dated March 10th, 2019, attested to by Robert Donnan, Secretary, and Hans Zacharias, President. And I did want to demonstrate the plaque.
All right, and I know we have the Mayor of Colorado Springs here who has got to get on with his busy day. So, Mr. Mayor, if you'd like to say a few words.
Thank you, Chairman Waller and members of the County Commission. Henry, I'm here to thank you for a job well done. You know, it took Jeff Green 9 years to create a really huge mess over here. And you cleaned it up in 3.5 years. By the way, I insisted that I be before Jeff because I wanted to leave him speechless when he got up here. So, Henry, I'm going to say something that none of the commissioners are going to say. It's really hard to have 5 bosses. Most people, you know, it's hard enough to deal with one boss, but I've watched this through the years. This is a tough job, county administrator, because you really do have five bosses, and you got to accommodate all their interests. But Henry, you've applied a heavy dose of common sense. You're very frank. You're a problem solver, and you've done an outstanding job. And I just want to say, on behalf of the city of Colorado Springs and all the folks I represent, thank you. Thank you for a job well done.
All right, Mr. Green, you got your wallet today?
No, actually, I intentionally did not bring my wallet today because Henry still got to buy me lunch. This morning when I was getting up and I had to take my dog to the vet first, I was thinking about this particular day, and it's a tough day. It's a very difficult day. I remember when Henry first came to town in 2006, and in our first interaction, Henry told a story. And he told a story about a particular event that happened in North Carolina, and it's a very colorful story, so I won't repeat that story today. But Henry always told a lot of stories. But what I most appreciate about Henry is to be the county administrator is a very difficult job. And, the issues you have to deal with, having 5 bosses, I'm very thankful to have one boss. And I have 9 others who think that they're my boss too. And so it's always a very challenging chore. But to be the county administrator and deal with the issues as it relates to human services, planning and development, your budgeting processes, your financial wellness of the organization, and also to ensure that you're facilitating and carrying forward the responsibilities and the policy direction of the Board of County Commissioners. And Henry has done a remarkable job doing that. He did a remarkable job when he was the building official. We were able to partner on many initiatives between the county and the building department. And I am going to miss Henry a lot as a good friend and a professional colleague. I'm going to miss the times that we used to spend with the National Association of County Administrators and the stories that we used to tell. And one thing I'd like to leave everybody with is, regardless of how Henry and I felt about policy direction, we may not always agree. But when an issue came up and Henry called for my help, I was there. And when I called Henry for help that I needed, he was there. And so that doesn't always exist, but it truly sends a strong message about how collaborative Henry is. So, and I do want to say special thanks to his wife and family. Carolyn has put up with a lot for the last 40 years. She's moved all of these different states, and she sat through all of these stories that Henry has told thousands of times. So, Henry, good luck, and as soon as you get back from New York, you and I and Dave Rosa got to get together and have some laughs.
All right, I suppose before we get on with the rest of the roasting, we should show our video. I think we have a 7-minute video dedicated to
Take me
Henry.
right back to the track, jack, choo choo, choo choo, boogie, woo woo, woo woo, boogie, choo choo, choo choo, boogie. Take me right back to the track, jack.
Henry's got a million stories. Most of them are from the time that he spent in the South. And I don't know what it is, but stories from the South are more entertaining than stories from practically anywhere else.
I just enjoyed his stories because they were always so fascinating, and many times you just sit there and for hours listen to him tell his stories.
The stories that just go on and on and on.
He would come in, he'd walk into the office in the morning and say, let's go have breakfast. And then he'd sit down at breakfast, probably after a couple of stories, and then he'd say, I had a dream. And the interesting part about it is when he had a dream, there was always some basis of reality in there.
We all know Henry likes to talk a lot. And the problem with that is that he just doesn't tell the truth.
I know you've all heard stories from Henry, and I'm here to vouch that for the last almost 20 years, those stories are true. And I've been very thankful to be a part of those stories.
And you know, you could walk in Henry's office, and in a matter of 5 or 10 minutes, you were almost assured an opportunity to leave with a smile.
I always considered him to be an extremely knowledgeable, capable, and one of the best county administrators I've ever worked with.
I was always amazed and thrilled to talk with Henry and realize that, you know, here's a guy who's really and truly thinking about things that are beyond the horizon that most of us think about.
Henry has a very unique form of leadership, and his form of leadership is he wants people in the community to get to know the people who are working within the department, not just the leaders.
He, I think, as county administrator, one of his main goals was to make his colleagues in El Paso County better off when he left the county than when he joined the county.
Henry cares more about people than almost any person I've ever met. He's incredibly caring. He looks out for the community. He looks out for individuals. He's always thinking of ways to try and help.
Well, congratulations, Henry. Today is your day. It's finally come.
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is it's about time, because I was really never for it. And so I am so thrilled for El Paso County that we're finally free from Henry.
Henry, we had the farm, the bonfires, the wall of license plates, Johnny on the roof, the Eagle Stop, the Corn Palace, Mount Rushmore, Deadwood, South Dakota, and Las Vegas. So many great times. Not only great times, though, Henry, but you've taught me a lot. You've taught me things that I use every day, even now in retirement. I use this all the time. Everyone that knows you's heard you say, don't be the low-hanging fruit. I try to be first. I'm the one who has his yard mowed before everybody else. Delegate a job to a competent person and leave it alone. Don't micromanage them. But I'm sure these people that know you already know that because they work with you. I've been so impressed, Henry, down through the years of how you've taken care of the people that work with you. That shows true character.
Henry, I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunities that you've given me. and for everything that you've done for me personally and everyone within this department. You'll always be a very close friend and always be someone that I look up to and respect. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you've done for me.
Henry, I will never forget the opportunity that I had to spend time with you both on campus and on several trips that we took together. You always made me smile. You always gave me something to think about.
Henry, it's good to see that you're retiring. You've always been a good friend. I hope that things go very well for you in the future.
Henry, I'm honored to be a part of your retirement celebration. We thank you for all the outstanding things you did here in Chattanooga for our citizens. I know the people of El Paso feel the same way, and if you get tired of living there, we'd love to have you back in Chattanooga. But thank you for your friendship. Thank you for the service you provided, I'm sure there, but I know here, and I know people are really celebrating all that you've done. I wish you well in retirement and hope to see you again soon.
Henry, I just want to say to you, I love you. You've been fantastic at El Paso County. All joking aside, it's just been a privilege to work with you. I wish you all the best in your retirement, which I know is not going to happen. That's a joke. You're not going to retire. I'll have you working in water and wastewater soon, and you can tell poop jokes with me over here at Cherokee. So, Henry, for everything you've done for El Paso County, I am sincerely grateful, and you were the right choice, and you will be greatly missed. Thank you so much, Henry.
But now this is your time. It's your time at the beginning of the next stage of your life to make more memories. Make memories with your grandkids and for Carolyn. God knows you've drugged that poor woman all over this country. It's time for you folks to settle down and enjoy yourselves. I'm proud for you, Henry. I'm proud to have known you these many years. Most of all, I'm proud to call you my dearest friend. I love you, Henry. God bless you.
All right, I know we heard from the mayor of Colorado Springs. Are there any other elected officials in the audience that would like to say a few words now? And everybody else have to get back to work. Oh, here comes one.
Dressed up for today, too.
Yeah, I like to see that you dressed up for this today. That's awesome, man.
Henry, it's a special day. I just walked outside, changed from the shorts, put some slacks on, and threw an iron on real quick. So I thought I would just dress up for this soiree. But everybody who knows me knows I'm extremely short on words, but I will say this. Outstanding, good friend, thank you, and I wish you the best of luck, sir. Absolutely.
And I think the rest of our elected officials had to get off to work.
Does former count?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
For anything.
For sure.
So, Henry, I want to thank you. I'm going to have to scoot out when I'm done to get to my job in Denver. Thank you, by the way, commissioners, for supporting the GAP project, because I have to drive it frequently. But I just wrote down a couple of words that I thought described you. You may or may not agree with them, but strength and fairness, calming, maybe not always. I don't know, Carolyn, maybe he isn't always calm. Quiet and thoughtful, which kind of goes against the storytelling. But, you know, I feel privileged in that I got to work with 3 county administrators. I'm not sure that you could come to compare with Terry Harris. If anybody knew Terry's stories, you'd go in for 5 minutes and you'd end up staying for 3 hours. And then Jeff came next, and then you. And so it was one of the best things, though, to be able to feel that we had that open door policy and just go in and chat and talk about different things. But what I really think stands out for me is that you're really a behind the scenes guy. People don't always see you in front of the microphone or out in front. You let other folks do that for you. but you are there supporting to help others to be successful. And I feel privileged that I'm one of those people. Now I'm going to start crying. There are certain people who are connectors in a community, and you're one of those connectors that helps bring it all together. And you keep your eye on the ball of what you want to get achieved. And I think that is the most effective kind of leadership that you have shown me. I still kind of laugh when I think that Marcy Morrison calls you Hank, because I know we always said, I was like, do people call you Hank? And he's like, no, Marcy Morrison does though. But I just wanted to thank you because I don't think that I could have been as successful. I know these folks will be successful because of the foundation that you've laid. And in my new role with the U.S. Department of Agriculture and serving the state with rural development, I feel that the foundation that you helped me to create and receive as being a commissioner here has really made me a better person. So I want to thank you, congratulate you. Whatever your next career, maybe it's a retirement career, but maybe it's something else. I know you'll be successful with that. And I just wanted to give you a USDA pin to think of me. Not that you're going to wear it everywhere, but I have to wear it everywhere. And thank you so much for your friendship and your mentorship.
So much. Thank you, Commissioner Clark. Commissioner Lathan?
Well, we're just going to pile on. I'm just going to pile on. I'll be very brief. I want to tell you, when I thought about what is it, besides all of the joy, I have to say thank you for the joy. If we can't have joy in all of this, then we can't succeed, because this gets pretty tough sometimes. So thank you for the joy and all the laughter. Everything that you taught us a lot about regionalism, but here's the thing, I watched you care. You really, really care. And that meant everything. It meant so much for what we tried to do and for how you helped us do that. So thank you. God bless you. You're going way too far away. I'm a little irritated about that. Don't go so far away. Come back. And Amy, just brush up those stories, because you've got some stories to tell. Thank you.
All right, next, I think we have a presentation from the Pikes Peak Workforce Center Board. Commissioner Vanderwerf?
Yes, at this time it is my honor to invite Tracy Marquez, the Executive Director of the Pikes Peak Workforce Center, and all the board members who are present to come down and issue this presentation.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioners. Henry, on behalf of the Pikes Peak Workforce Center staff, the Pikes Peak Workforce Development Board, the Department of Labor, and the Consortium Executive Board, thank you so much for everything that you have done for the Workforce Center. We picked out this artwork as a representation and a thank you for you serving on our board, because what you've done is really mended and blended and braided the Workforce Center and the county. And on behalf of all of us, thank you for everything you've done. You have a servant's heart, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
So on this award, I would like to read it to you. Henry, may you be proud of the work you have done, the person you are, and the difference you have made. I will really miss you.
All right, next, if we could have the folks from the Pikes Peak Regional Building Department come down for a presentation.
Good morning. Thank you. Henry, when you started with the building department in 2006, you took over at a time where the department was struggling financially. Morale was probably at an all-time low. Myself included, and you brought a new sense of leadership to the department. You turned the department around financially, and most importantly, I think from a morale perspective, you gave supervisors the ability to make decisions, accountability, and responsibility. You gave a number of people so many different choices and options through a spirit of leadership and commitment. and most importantly to me, a sense of family. You created a family and instilled in each one of us the importance of family. And when I found out that you were going to be moving to the county, I was kind of worried about the future of the department, but I knew that you would be the absolute best choice for El Paso County, and I sincerely appreciate everything you've done for us. And I guess the other part of it is, I know you like to tell stories, and we wanted to do a little something for you that you could tell stories about in the future. So we got together as a group and got you a gift and had everybody sign it, and we're just hoping that maybe in the future you can tell some stories as well. So Henry always is very protective of his chair, so we dug up one of his old chairs and
Thank you. Might not want to get that thing close to a carbon monoxide detector. Right? Issues related to that. All right. Next, if we could have the executive directors come down and we'll start going through executive director presentations, please. And I think we're going to kick it off with the PIO, Ryan Parcell.
Oh, thank you. When I think about the stories, Henry, I think my favorite of yours is the ice cream story. If anyone knows that one. I'm not sure if I should tell that one or not.
The floor is yours. Notice how Henry sits down for one of his own stories because he knows how long they are.
The ice cream story, and I'll butcher it, right? We know this. But the ice cream story has to do with, in one of the cities where Henry was, somebody was complaining about the smell from a sewage treatment plant. And so the executive director of the sewage treatment plant comes up to answer to city council about why it stinks. And he says in the best Southern voice, well, if you send us ice cream, it's gonna smell like ice cream. Commissioner Waller, you observed earlier that sometimes you feel like the stories have a meaning, and then sometimes you can't discern the meaning. That's one where I can't discern the meaning, but I feel like there's something there. But when I think about the story about you that's always resonated with me the most is the time where you told me about you were going into a restroom at the Citizen Service Center, and you saw a woman changing her adult son's diaper on the floor. And when you saw that, you saw the lack of dignity, you saw the human situation, and you had an adult changing table installed in the restroom at the Citizen Service Center. And that told me everything that I felt that I needed to know about you, that you look at problems from the human perspective. You view people with dignity and with respect, and you care about solving things not for the sake of solving them, but to make people's lives better. And so that's something that I've always respected and appreciated about you. I appreciate everything that you've taught me. I appreciate your trust in me. I appreciate all the lessons that you've taught me, so thank you. And so from the PIO team, we got you a gift. It's in a flash bag because we know that when you're done, you're gonna be out of here super fast. You always complained about not having marshmallows with your hot chocolate, so we made you homemade marshmallows.
Seems like a simple thing.
And you talked about somebody stole this book for you, so we found it and we got the book for you. So congratulations in your retirement. Thank you for your service and for everything.
Who'd like to go next?
Morning, Commissioners. Tim Walken, Director of Community Services for El Paso County. It has been a true honor for me to work for Henry for the last 3.5 years. A couple of things that really stand out to me is that whenever I talk to Henry about what's critical to him at El Paso County, almost always talks about the employees. I think he felt it was one of our greatest assets that we have. Always encourage us to look at better ways to train, better ways to hopefully provide them opportunities for growth within the county itself, provide better equipment. And so that's what we always talked about. And that was always impressive to me that he cared so deeply about that. The second thing I wanted to touch on was Henry was willing to make the tough decisions. And a lot of times it's much easier just to avoid those or let them fester, but that wasn't his style. And so I hope we have the courage to continue on with that as well, too, to determine what's best for El Paso County, make that tough decision. And I've always been very impressed with Henry on that as well, too. And then finally, for me at least, was the trust that he provided in us and the other department directors as well, to not only just look at the status quo and continue on. If we've done it that way for 30 years, maybe we need to mix it up. Maybe we need to look at a better way to do this. And he had the courage to allow us to be able to do that. And we greatly appreciate that as well. Henry, on behalf of our department, we want to give you a gift certificate for a restaurant, and hopefully you'll take your family out and have a great meal on us. Thank you very much. It's been great.
Thank you, Tim.
I am
Next.
still here. Henry, I'm not going to say a lot. I already have it running each and every eye all morning. So thank you, Henry. Thank you. And I'm going to hug you, and then I'm going to go over there, okay?
Henry. Crystal Latier, El Paso County Economic Development Division. Within our division, we focus on 3 main areas: business incentives, community initiatives, and housing. Those components really require a lot of innovation and flexibility, 2 concepts that Henry always truly supported. But probably more importantly, a saying that I heard Henry say more than once was, how's the little guy going to get a win out of this? And he truly cared about the programming that we put into the community and how it impacted our residents. For those of you that don't know, I have 2 young children, one of which was born while Henry was our county administrator. Right before my son's first Christmas, he brought a little toy car to my cubicle and said, "Every little boy needs a car for the tub." So without a doubt, Henry is always thinking of our employees and our residents, even the youngest ones. I had sent a few words to Henry when the formal announcement came out that he was retiring, and so I'll quickly share those now, and hopefully reading them will ensure that I don't get emotional. But to me, you will always be a man of integrity. Integrity is choosing your thoughts and actions based on values rather than a personal gain. I can without a doubt say that is how you operated within our community. You have led our community with such integrity and humility, and those are 2 traits that can be hard to find these days. They also say that one person of integrity can make a difference, and what a difference you have made. Thank you for all of your hard work, insight, and encouragement. You not only have made a lasting impression on our community, but on me personally. I will always be thankful for the time I spent working with you, and extra grateful for the support of my professional development. As a young working mother, having mentors, supporters, teachers, and advocates is so very important, and you are all those things for me. Thank you, and I wish you all the best.
Hi, Henry. So those of you that don't know me, I'm Craig Dossie, Planning and Community Development Director. Henry hired me in my current position, and I think I was probably the youngest director at the time when you hired me. And I didn't know Henry real well, but we shared a building over at Regional Building, and I would see Henry walking through the atrium, and I'm not very tall, but Henry is very imposing. How tall are you? 6'5"?
Shrinking.
So I was very intimidated of Henry, even when I took the job. And so for the longest time, when we do our one-on-one meetings, Henry would launch into a story, Ryan, right? And as Ryan said, a lot of times I thought, well, there's got to be a meaning to these stories. I couldn't decipher the meaning. And this is me confessing to you. A lot of the times I would smile and nod, just to make sure you didn't think I was really that ignorant. But I think I was. I was humoring you, yes. But you know, I got an opportunity with Brian Olson and Henry to go to Chattanooga when we were in Nashville last summer, and we got to spend some time with Alan Welton, who was on the video. And we had lunch, and after lunch, we started listening, Brian, to Henry and Alan reliving all these same stories. And I got to be honest with you, I thought most of those stories were made up. I didn't think they couldn't be true. They couldn't all be true. And so I had a moment in Chattanooga, sort of an aha moment, but also kind of terrifying at the same time, because what if they were all actually true? So I didn't know how to depict how I felt that day, but I do have a video that I think will depict how I felt that day. So this is a clip from Beautiful Mind, and I draw the comparison, and only Henry could keep all these stories straight, because I couldn't follow any of his stories.
Oh my God.
There's no way that all of that actually happened, but sure enough, there's the evidence.
Why didn't you say something?
And that's how I felt. I felt like, why didn't somebody say something to me when I first started this job? Maybe I could have understood a little bit more of these stories. So Henry, this won't do me any good now, but I think this is more for Carolyn, because as you use your stories on her, she's going to need to decipher it a little bit. So if we could give this to Carolyn moving forward, maybe she can understand some of your stories. Henry told me to roast him a little bit, but in all seriousness, I still don't know why you hired me. I wouldn't have hired me probably.
We often wonder that ourselves, yes, yeah.
I'm glad it wasn't a vote of the board. Every day that I work with the development community, I wonder why I actually applied for the job, but thank you for everything you've done for me, for my family. I think the advancements that we've seen throughout all of the departments certainly would not have happened without you. You're a visionary. You provided all of the support that we needed at a time when we needed to catch up with the rest of the world. When you came on, I felt like you were a breath of fresh air, not only for me, but I think for the county as a whole. And I have so much gratitude towards you in what you've been able to accomplish in a little over 3 years. So thank you for everything you've done. Thank you.
Henry, we're close, right? Once again. Henry and I have this knack of wearing the same suit or similar suit on a daily basis, which is like we coordinate our wardrobes ahead of time. But you've been a great mentor to me personally and professionally, and I thank you for that. All of my employees in the department are sad to see you go. They've appreciated your efforts and support of us and your recognition of the innovation and the ability that they bring to the table, and just the freedom to allow them to try new things and be tolerant of some of the changes that we have made in the organization and help us drive some of those. It's been much appreciated. I think back to my personal interactions with you, a long car ride that we never got lunch at in the rain in Utah. I still owe you a burger, but somebody was in a hurry that day. A double-double. And probably, Andrea's probably still here, but it's probably the most interesting job interview I've ever had in my life, but we'll just leave it there. It was a great time. And on behalf of all of the executive directors, this was in the right of way blocking somebody's mailbox, but I thought you'd appreciate it. So.
Good morning, Henry.
Good morning, Jeff.
On behalf of the employees of the IT department, I just want to say thanks. And that, it doesn't sound like a big enough word to describe what you've done for us, the confidence you put in rebuilding us. For me personally, to lead that effort, I just want to say thank you, best of luck, and I'll miss you greatly.
Thanks so much, Jeff.
And Jeff, you were also going to say that his emails will always come through Mimecast, right? Yeah, you're going to let them all through.
Hi, Henry. Julie Crow, Executive Director, Department of Human Services. I've only been at the county for a little over 2 years, and I am very grateful to Henry for providing me the opportunity to have this job that I love. The things that I've appreciated most about Henry is that he allows us to be innovative and supports what we want to do, and he makes quick decisions and really helps our department move in a good direction. I also appreciate Henry for being so ethical. He always wants to do the right thing, and whenever we present a problem to him, he just says, just do the right thing. And that means the world to us, especially in the roles that we have. But most importantly, I appreciate Henry because he's caring. He cares about the children, youth, and families that we serve. He cares about the staff at DHS and about all of our executive team. And on behalf of our executive team, we have a little gift for Henry, and it exemplifies, it's 2 children under an umbrella, and I think it exemplifies that Henry always cares about the kids, and anyone who's under his umbrella is very lucky, and I think that's all of us in El Paso County. Thank you, Henry.
Hi, Sherry Cassidy, Chief Financial Officer. Henry, anytime there was any successes in the county, you were always first to acknowledge that it was the staff that did it. And I always really appreciated that. And there's a lot of staff in here, a lot of my staff up here. And I just always appreciated that. And I also appreciate our friendship. And it'll continue on. Thank you.
Good morning, Henry. Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Olson, Executive Director for County Facilities. You know, I guess first time I met Henry was in 2006 when he became our building official, and at the time I was on the building committee. And I knew from the very get-go when I met Henry that what a great guy he was, and I know there's a common theme here that we're hearing is through his stories. And you know, through those stories, I knew what a great background he had and great experiences he was bringing to our community. And you know, I'm gonna miss those stories, and they are great stories. Not just because of their content, but you know, nobody, as Ryan knows, nobody can tell them like Henry can. And I'm going to miss those stories. I've heard them many times, but they're great every time I hear them, and I'm going to miss them. And I'll be first in line when the Henry Yankowski desk calendar of stories comes out, so I can have one for each day. So, and hopefully I can come to Amy for some stories too, you know. So, but you know, I really appreciate the time under Henry's leadership here at the county. I know myself, I know my staff, many staff of the county are going to miss Henry because Henry's always so approachable. You know, anybody could walk up to Henry and talk to him and felt comfortable with him. But it doesn't end there because not only that, but Henry would come talk to you. And it didn't matter, you know, what part of the county you were from, what kind of staff level you were at, he would come and talk to you. And he wanted to know what kind of person you were, you know, where you came from, and really what makes you tick. And, you know, a lot of people really appreciate it, and we're going to miss that. In the county, in the community business, you know, doing the right thing isn't always easy, and it's not always popular for sure. But I always appreciate how Henry was, you know, really would always do the right thing and, you know, stay on the straight and narrow and really stuck to his sense of integrity. And I'll learn that lesson always. You know, Henry, I always appreciate your leadership and your mentorship, and I really appreciate your friendship. And I want you to know I'll always be your friend, and if you ever need anything, I'll be here for you. I wish you and Carolyn the very best, because you guys deserve the best in your next chapter in life. So thank you.
Good morning, Josh Hanley, Interagency Relations Manager. I'll keep it short because I'll get a little emotional, but just thank you. Henry, thank you for everything you have done for my staff. I mean, we're so appreciative. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for all the opportunities you have afforded me and every county employee. And thank you for the wisdom you have bestowed upon us. I'm going to greatly miss you, but most of all, I'm just so happy that I can call you a friend at the end of the day, and you and I can just, continue telling our stories for many years to come. So thank you for everything. Yeah.
As they're taking this picture here, thank you, executive directors, for all your kind words. Now I'm going to open it up for anybody in the public or any other staff members that would like to say something. Please start making your way to the podium.
Mr. Chair, Amy Folsom, County Attorney. I do have a comment when...
We can wait until... And I'm sorry, but Chris, before we get there, Madam County Attorney.
Thank you so much. Henry Yankowski, you are an extraordinary individual. As county attorney, I frequently get to say that I get to work with folks in the best of times, and I get to work with folks when times aren't so good in the county. And that's why the word extraordinary comes to mind in explaining who Henry Yankowski is. I had the privilege of working with Henry from day one when he got to the county. And what I've always respected, Henry, is that you made known who you were from day one, that you were a man of commitment, integrity, a man who, when any question posed itself in the county, you asked yourself two questions. And I know this because I heard you ask them. Is this right for the citizens of El Paso County? And is this right for the employees of El Paso County? And it was within that framework, within that parameter, that I saw this man make some extraordinarily difficult decisions within a matter of months. So on behalf of the County Attorney's Office, Henry, thank you. Thank you. You have left an indelible imprint on this county. You have changed the culture, and I think as a leader, there is no higher compliment. So that's what I hear resonating in all the comments folks have had to say, and that's what I want to echo today too. Personally, thank you for the opportunities, thank you for the kindness, thank you for the friendship, thank you for the hours and hours sitting up here with me on the dais. I think I will very much miss that moment when Henry leans over to say something to me during a meeting, and I have to scramble to make sure my microphone is off, because I know it's going to be funny, but I don't know that it should be public. So thank you for that, Henry. I'm extraordinarily honored and humbled to have worked with you.
Thank you, Amy.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chris Garvin, Deputy Executive Director at Department of Human Services. Henry, wow, I'm going to miss you a lot. Every conversation I've had with Henry, he begins with, "How are you doing, Chris?" So he thinks about the person first and then the employee. So I really appreciate that. And I hope that now that you're retiring, that you can write the book of, Henry's sage advice and life experiences. And I hope you include the story you told me about your father who, I'm sure it was you, who brought home some homeless guys and your mom fed the grandfather. And that really impacted me in my work with homelessness. And I knew that you came from a family of compassion and understanding. So that really impacted me in my work here. So thank you so much for that.
Hi, Henry. I'll be sad to see you go. My name's Karen Logan. I'm the Director of Economic and Administrative Services. And Henry would show up at events for our department like Feed the Children, which we had expected. But what some people don't know is that Henry showed up when my staff had to work late into the evening and all weekend to make sure that clients were able to get their benefits during the government shutdown. And that made a huge impact to my staff because people would say, "Did you hear Mr. Yankowski was here?" And for them, that's a big deal. So on behalf of them and myself, thank you for making sure that my staff understand that what they do matter. And I appreciate all your support in that. You have no idea how much of an impact you have on everyone. Thanks.
Mr. Hess.
Good morning, Commissioners. George Hess, and I'm representing the Housing and Building Association. After following all of these folks that have come up and said hello to you, I've thrown away everything I was going to talk about. I was kind of thinking about what we've been going through the last few months, years with the Mueller report and collusion and obstruction, and the only thing that would come to mind, really, buddy, was collaboration. Representing the industry from day one, when you and I first talked on the phone many years ago, we knew that you would come in and solve a problem. You would be collaborative with our industry and not obstructionist. And we so much appreciate that. As a friend, well, the first time I heard a story, I was thinking, geez, Henry, all I want is the regional building department fixed. But little did we know that those stories would lead to the creation of a much, much better department and a much, much better county. My friend, I thank you so very much. I'm going to miss you.
Brett Daniels, Facility Maintenance Manager. Henry, just a couple short ones. You're the salt of the earth, and a very easy man to respect. And I want to thank you for everything that you've done for this county. I think you've taken it to the next level. These last 3.5 of my 25 years here have been the best. In the way you respect all the employees, and it's second to none, sir.
Hello, sir. I would just like to thank you for all of your support that you offered myself, the Sheriff's Office, in our transition of county security over to us, and your personal support for me, and also for the kindness that you showed me. I really appreciated it. Thank you.
And Lieutenant, if you could, please state your name for the record. Lieutenant, could you state your name for the record or not?
Good morning, Commissioners. Dr. Matthew Kaywood with El Paso County Human Services. I'm the Children, Youth, and Family Services Administrator. First thing, I met Henry about 3.5 years ago at Steamboat Springs, and I wasn't going to join his table, and he said, "Hey, Matthew, come on over here and sit with us." 3 hours later, I got to go to my room, and there were several stories that were told. I was just taken aback by Henry's sort of personability to a staff member who does this work every day. And you all have probably heard me come up and commend employees who have served the county for so many years. And although Henry has served the county less than 4 years, some people don't get a college degree in that amount of time. He has really had an enormous impact on all of us. And I just want to say that's awfully humbling that he spent some time with me. Secondly, I see a name up there, Mary Ann Warkins. I don't know if she's up in the audience. I looked for her. But she's one of the people I'm trying to represent today. Because a leader, county administrator, Ms. Folsom, I hope you take some cues from Mr. Yankowski, because he has done a great job. And I just think he's done a lot for the county. I get up here and wax and wane a lot about employees because 3 of my parents were public servants. They retired from public work, and that's why I always enjoy the commissioners and Henry and all the people that do this work, because there's some camaraderie for almost 700,000 plus citizens in El Paso County. So I looked up a few quotes because I thought, how do I honor Henry, who is sort of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Wizard of Oz, and Abe Lincoln all rolled into one. And I know he's from New York, so I didn't make any reference to that. but I'll just give a few quotes and hopefully they make some sense. First of all, the goodwill of the governed will be starved if not fed by the good deeds of the governors. And I hope we all take sense from that. A lot of comments to Henry were about his integrity, and I really appreciate it. A short story, I came to one of these meetings more dressed up than today, Commissioner Waller, and I had a coat on, and I said, "Hey, Henry," because he was so personable at Steamboat. I said, "Hey, Henry, can I get one of them lapel pins? You know, like I'd like to represent the county. I've worked here, 15 years at the time, and how do I get one?" He pulled it off his jacket, and that's the one I wear every time when I do get dressed up and go somewhere. It means a lot. Another quote I'd like to give you is, "The greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things." And I think a lot of people made those comments today, and it meant a lot to me when Henry always talks to me, and every once in a while I give him a word or two in a community meeting, and he always does what he says to everybody else, a lot of, how you doing? Well, that means a lot to people who come to work every day, 250 days a year for the county, and serves the public. And then lastly, I'll leave you with this. An army of 1,000 is easy to find, but oh, how difficult to find a general. So I know we've got a new good general coming. I'm excited to work under Ms. Folsom in this board, but more importantly, Henry, you touch a lot of people, and to me, just a humble county employee, you've touched me, and I just wanted to say I'm honored and thank you for your service.
Sorry, I'm leaking. Jessica McMullen, I'm from Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments. I was actually lucky enough to meet Henry originally when he was still with Regional Building. And the thing that I remember is not the stories. Stories are something people have suffered through, but they weren't something I suffered through. It was that initial impression of kindness, of seeing people, of caring. I got to see you and Jeff at the same time, and there's an equal number of storytelling there. So yeah, I'm just gonna say. So nobody can say you're the only one, but kindness. It's not the stories, it's not just that you saw people. It's that you saw people deeply and cared. And I'm really, really, really upset that you're leaving our community. Just so you know. Thank you.
Should I be nice? How are you doing? A couple things I want to say. I think what people miss in Henry's stories and what Henry tries to tell you is that if not for the old, the new wouldn't be here. And how did we get to the new? We got to the new through the old, right? When we talk about how things were made, how things were built, how the railroads were done. And I think that's the lesson that people tend to miss most of the time. And the other thing, too, is you can't help but look up at Henry. He's 6'5". I mean, what are you going to do? So I've been out of the county now for about 2 months, or halfway out of the county about 2 months. So I'm going to talk to Andrea about workman's comp. My neck is killing me after 3.5 years of looking up. So, yeah. But if not for Henry, Roger, Jennifer, Craig, unfortunately, and myself and several others, we wouldn't get to do what we love to do. And you put me in the right spot. Probably wasn't the best fit for where I was. I mean, I made DPW guys into firefighters to some extent and painted their trucks bright orange or bright yellow. But you allowed me to do what I needed to do, and I think that's key. Shrek yellow, that's correct. But I tell you what, you hit one of our trucks, it's not because you couldn't see it. For sure. But Henry, thank you for giving me the latitude. I wasn't sure you were going to let me stay in that position when you got here, and you did, and I appreciate what you let me do. You let me run. And there were many stories, especially with your dad in World War II and all those things, and you shared those things with me, and I really appreciate that, and that's something I can't get rid of. But we'll stay in touch over the old, because I'm still looking for Model A tools and stuff like that, and I'm sure I'll get a call. Jimmy, I found this. And to the county attorney or the new administrator, I have no messages on my phone from Henry Yankowski for the same reason. They're deleted almost instantly. So anyway, thank you so much, Henry.
Let me put that up. Okay. Henry, we met the day you came to work for Regional Building Department. I took you to a PPMCA meeting, 6:30 in the morning, and you thought we were all crazy. But one thing you did for us is you cared about PPMCA. Like everybody has says, you care about your people, and the things that you did for us, working with Regional Building Department, handing over the building department to Roger in great condition. One of the things you did when we started talking to you about carbon monoxide is you took it immediately and thought about your employees and hung a carbon monoxide detector on every inspector, caring about their health, caring about the community health. You were such a supportive of Worm Wheels. You got us in contact with the commissioners, being able to help me and Don work with them, getting support from the county, getting support from Regional Building Department. You and I, well, we've known each other for 12 years now, and you're a great friend. You mean a lot to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry.
Thanks so much for being here.
Henry gave me a job, Mr. CO. I appreciate being involved in that effort, Henry. Thank you very much.
Right. Good morning. Rachel Beck and Sarah Jack. Sarah says I have to do the talking because she might do the crying. We have both been privileged to get to know Henry when he was at Regional Building, and particularly under some circumstances that have been memorable to both of us, which is that Henry had the courage to do what was right for the community, even when it wasn't necessarily the most popular or understood thing to do. And what I'm talking about is, of course, for those of you who've been in the community for a while, you know that addressing our stormwater issues, which have been significant, have taken a few tries. And now that it's all over, it's easy to forget how controversial that has been. And so attempt number 2, the county took a lead role, but it was really Henry who figured out how to staff it and fund it and was the tip of the spear, so to speak, to make the effort happen. And it was 2 years of really intensive public input and collaboration amongst all sorts of professional groups and citizens. And I think you should be very proud of that, Henry. And for us personally, you know, that someone like you would trust folks like us and give us the opportunity to work on that, and that you trusted our judgment in a lot of ways, but also advised us on the approach to take, meant so much to us and your support over the years. And, you know, ultimately, we didn't win that one at the ballot box, but I attribute that work and your leadership to the eventual success. So thank you so much for how many times that you have shown leadership in that way and worked to do the right thing for the community. That legacy will last a long time.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Richard Cordova. I work in facilities for parking operations. I know you don't know this, but I refer to you as Mr. H. Not because your last name is hard to pronounce, because Lord knows in my culture we got some doozies. But I call you Mr. H because my dad taught me a person with respect should always be addressed with the proper surname. I have, in my opinion, Mr. H not only deserves all the respect as an administrator, but as a great person also. I suspect that he can demand respect if needed and when appropriate. I have not known Mr. H very long, but I do know that he is a great administrator and a great person. I may not understand the politics of all the decisions he has to make, but I do understand, and I have heard everybody attest to this, but I do understand he is genuinely concerned for the county and for the employees. I've witnessed this myself. I manage parking operations, but all my fellow coworkers in the booth always comment on how Mr. H always stops by on his way in and out and asks of their well-being and asks of their working conditions, if everything is going well for them. Unfortunately, I feel cheated because of the nature of our acting. It's only for a few seconds, and he's never got to tell us any stories. So after listening to all that, I feel a little jaded in that respect. But I just wanted him to know that, and we've heard this all morning, of his genuine care and concern for the employees. And for me, as one of the lowly persons in the garage, I know that to genuinely be true. So I would like to say congratulations. You will truly be missed by all of us. And someday, if you make it back, we'll work on that car show. Thank you, sir.
Morning, Shauna Huffmaster, the office manager for facilities. And this is a recent position. My mom told me that I can't cry. Sorry, Mom. Pull it together. I first met Henry, not when he was county administrator, but when I was working with Deanne McCann in economic development. And he came on to the Housing Authority Board. And I learned immediately the respect that I had for you and others had for you. And you don't do what everyone does because that's what they expect you to do. You stick with your gut. And you do value every employee, every person. You learn about each person and you care about them, you ask about them, and you remember them. And that goes a really long way. You are going to be greatly missed. You've done a lot. Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you for all that you've done for us and for the ways that you've listened to our ideas and allowed us to implement some, and even sending us your emails. I didn't know I'd learned so much about OPEC and big tech and things like that, but you expanded our world so that we could see things that we don't experience on a daily basis. And yes, we did come into your office for 5 minutes, sometimes expecting an answer, and we didn't leave until 2 hours later. But I learned a lot of practical lessons in that, like the sewer is going to smell like what you put into it. And if you want to mitigate neighborhood crime, just buy a bottle of honey from Costco, and that the building code is a great marketing plan. But I just wanted to thank you for all that you've done, because those are the things that made it worth coming to work every day, knowing that we could learn things from you and work for somebody like you. You were a great leader, and we're going to miss you.
All right, is there anybody else in the audience that would like to say something about Henry? And if you would, please come down, state your name, and then you may begin.
Hi, my name's Don Kloss. I'm not an elected official, and I'm not connected vocationally with Henry. I just have the privilege of being a good friend, and it's been a privilege indeed. The end of the joke is the guy at the sewage treatment plant, when the complaining citizen called and said, his retort was, if you send us ice cream, it's going to smell like ice cream. If you send us it's going to smell like That's how it went. Henry has regaled me for the past decade plus with great stories, and he certainly is beyond raconteur. He's one of the best storytellers I've ever known, and there's so much humaneness that has come out of these great stories, and it's really been a privilege. Henry, I got to fess up. Many times you'll look at me and you say, Don, did I ever tell you the story about such and such? And I would go, no, I've never heard that story, Henry. 4 or 5 times. He says, I love hearing them. So thank you for bringing them back. Yeah, Carolyn. Must be to the level of abuse, maybe. We've had some great discussions. You and I we've talked about just, daily travails and conundrums in our discussions. And one thing that I've really got out of our discussions from you that has really meant a lot is 2 things that you always end up with, you leave me with, which I enjoy and have learned from. And that is, number 1, who do we serve? Who are we in service of? And I've always thought that is wonderful. And especially in this day and age of self-service and partisanship, it's just great to know that there are people out there leading the public that have that concern about who we serve. And secondly, the second thing that I always got is the bottom line is, what's the right thing to do here? And that's been great. Henry, you're great in that regard. Thank you for the friendship. I'm looking forward to a whole lot more stories, and even the ones I've heard, I want to hear them again and again. Enjoy it. Thank you, Henry.
Hi, Henry. Jennifer Irvin, County Engineer. I wasn't sure if I could hold it together. So I just wanted to say that a leader leaves a legacy by making sure that the people who are left behind, are in a position to lead without them. So each one of our staff is really cared about by Henry, but each one of them, all the way down to our folks out on the maintenance crews, each one of them is a better leader because of Henry today. So thank you so much. And here's the other stuff that I'm not ready to say in front of everybody else.
Thanks so much, Jim. You've been great. Thanks so much.
Sarah Yankowski, daughter. Hopefully I can hold it together too. I just wanted to say, not only are you the most amazing dad, dang it, that we could have ever asked for, but I think speaking on behalf of Trisha and Keaton and Hunter and I, not only this whole time have we been supporting you and cheering you on, but we've been learning from you and taking notes, and we're going to all be better people because of you. So thank you.
Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to say something? All right, if we could, Carolyn, would you mind coming forward, please? You know, I think when it comes to working in a job like this, you don't just end up with the person that's doing the job. You end up with their family as well, because it is such a tremendous obligation to be able to do the job and do it well. And you couldn't do it without a supportive and dedicated family to help you along. And Carolyn, I know that without a shadow of a doubt that you're a lot of the strength behind Henry that's made him so successful, not just in El Paso County and the regional building department here, but throughout his entire career. So thank you for your service to El Paso County as well. And we have a little presentation of flowers for you.
Thank you so much. It's really kind of you. I know Henry has been honored to serve and has loved every minute, despite his little grumbles here and there and grouchy demeanor sometimes. But he's truly, despite that, loved every single second. And I know he loves you all and will miss you all very, very much. And we're we're just so much better for having everybody today and, well, everyone in our lives. And we thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Mr. County Administrator, the floor is yours.
Lost a lot of sleep figuring out what I would and, more importantly, what I wouldn't say, I think. But since everyone has mentioned the stories, I figure that at least you all deserve at least one short one. And I think most of you...
I don't think you have a short story, so...
It's fairly short. So 30 years ago was the first time I walked into a government office as an employee, County of Spotsylvania. And one of the things that you are required before starting the job is to get a valid driver's license from that state. And as it happens, Spotsylvania is in Virginia. Can I have the overhead? And so anyway, my story is that I was going to get my license, and I'm walking up to DMV, which was a state-run facility, and there's an old timer at the front door, and he's staring at this state seal. And when I get up close to it, or close to the door, he grabs the handle on the door, and he pulls it open and says, "Go ahead, go ahead. Ain't that the damn truth? DMV gets you down and they won't let you up." And so I knew right away the government was very misunderstood. Because clearly, if you know what this is, you know that tyranny is down on the ground. His crown has been knocked off. The chains are broken in his left hand, and the scourge that he whips you with is in his right. The sword is sheathed, which means the battle is over, and the spear is down, meaning that the battle is over also. And of course, it means thus always to tyrants. And so quite a bit different. They get you down. It won't let you up. But I always remember that, and it just seems like that the government is misunderstood, and truly I've worked with, there's the old, we're from the government and we're here to help, that gets a lot of laughs, but I've found that to be exactly the truth. With every one of the commissioners here, the commissioners in the past, city council, and that's that everyone's heart is in the very right place. And I guess I'm just going to be very short, and I have one quote. And as you know, I like movies. I watch a lot of them, even some very bad ones. I mean, meaning that they're not that good, not that well made, that kind of thing. But one of them in 2003 was, which I happen to like, was Secondhand Lions. And in there, one of the main characters, Robert Duvall, who I think is a wonderful actor. He's done many things, but I find him kind of humorous. He gets in a fight with a kid, and he wants to tell the kid what the things for a man to believe in are. And he says, sometimes the things that may or may not be true are the things that a man needs to believe in the most, that people are basically good, that honor, courage, and virtue mean everything, that power and money and power mean nothing, that good always triumphs over evil, that love, true love, never dies. No matter if they're true or not, a man should believe in those things because those are the things worth believing in. And I guess that just sums up kind of the philosophy that I've seen with all of you, all of the directors, that I think everyone believes that in those things. So I'm not going to say anything more other than thanks for keeping me here. Thanks for the previous commissioners bringing me on. I know they took a chance on, a construction guy. And, I can tell tons of stories at some time, anytime, at the drop of a hat, but I'll just leave you with that one. Thanks so much.
Thank you. All right, well, with that, I'm going to bring it up here and for some final comments from the commissioners and then a no vote from the commissioners. So Commissioner Williams, if you'd like to kick it off.
Sure. So I've only actually worked with Henry for about 5 months, but in that time, I've seen a lot of true leadership and true friendship. He'll always give you the straight answers. He's very supportive. And he always encourages me to be a better commissioner and to increase and expand my ability to lead. He's tall, like I am, and casts a long shadow, and sometimes I feel like I cast a short shadow, and he always encourages me to step out and make sure I'm there at the events and, looking for leadership opportunities. He is... I wrote down, many of us are better off for having known him. I remember when he told us he was going to retire, that he said that it was time, I guess, to go back to the first love of his life, which was Carolyn, and spend more time with his wife. And I look at this wonderful family you have, including your granddaughter Kylie, and I can see why if I bought you any tools or a drone or something to have fun with, that it would probably very quickly end up in someone else's hands. So I do wish you the best of luck and the time with your family and your grandkids. And I'm sure happy for the whole family that you're going to get him now. So thank you very much, Henry.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Henry, wow. I've gotten to know you a little more than 2.5 years now. It's been a great journey with you. And I think there's several words we've heard today. I do have an interest in repeating them because I think they really do represent who you are. And that's about ethics, integrity, kindness, humility, and a willingness to trust the team to allow them to achieve. And I know that my speech here is being upstaged by a little guy down there, but it's okay. So, but that's actually a great lesson there. You should tell a story about that, Henry, about the value of families, right?
Well, I'm Henry Wayne. That's Wilder Wayne. So I don't know what you're going to be dealing with in a few years with Wilder Wayne, because this Henry Wayne's not all that wild, so.
I think the point that I'd like to make, in addition to these words, are really descriptors of leadership. They're really descriptors of leadership. And another one that connects to that is collaboration. And Henry, I've seen you over these 2 years work on getting the county to continue to collaborate together. I think a great example this morning was asking the team to work on the budget so that when the budget comes to the Board of County Commissioners, the kinds of decisions that we had to make here were much simpler and much less complex. Because you asked the team, hey, we've got to figure out how to get to a balanced budget. How do we do this together in a partnership, in a collaboration? And that's the epitome, that's an example of your leadership and your ability to do that on behalf of the county. I find it interesting, I didn't know that you had worked in Spotsylvania, and of course there's a lot of Civil War history there. So now we're going to need to go share some stories about Civil War history. But having said that, we have shared a lot of stories about World War II history. Certainly the USS Arizona was one of those, but it was not the only one. And I have also very, very much enjoyed those stories. But I'd like to end what I have to say with a quote from Ronald Reagan that I think epitomizes your leadership, Henry. The greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. And that, I think, is your greatest quality, Henry, is you allowed the team, the county team, to flourish, to innovate, to lead their own departments, and that, I think, epitomizes what you've been able to achieve for the county and for the citizens of El Paso County. Thank you very much, Henry. We're going to remain friends. Enjoy your retirement. Enjoy your family. I hope you get to travel around the world and see some of those great historical sites that we've talked about so much. Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I did have a couple comments, but I actually wanted to preface that with something that's concerning me from some of the previous discussions. So every time I went into Henry's office because I had a question or an issue on a county issue, and Henry gave me one of those stories, I was able to fix the county issue. And so it's concerning to me that all the executive directors were not able to interpret the very obvious and clear advice given to us by Henry's stories. So that's one thing I just wanted to start off with, so that I learned today. So, but thank you for all those sage advice and the stories that you always gave me when I went in there for some questions. But honestly, what I did want to say, Henry, was that you know, it's been an absolute honor to work with you these last 2.5 years. You're a man of integrity, as has been brought up many, many times already. You always wanted what was best for the residents of El Paso County, and you always looked out for staff and the employees of El Paso County, because you cared about them, and everybody knows that that's the first thing to your heart outside of your family, was looking out for our employees, the residents, and the grandkids. So, of course, for me, your leadership and your mentorship is going to be missed, but I did learn a lot from you, and I just wish you that you can enjoy your retirement, enjoy your family, and enjoy the time with your friends, and enjoy continuing your great stories. So God bless.
Thank you.
Here we are, Henry.
Yeah.
You know, this is one of those days where it feels like in many respects it's been forever coming, and then it snuck up on us quickly. You know, this, if you think about it, none of us up here have ever known another county administrator. You're the one that has been there from the time each of us started, and you're the one that we know, and it's going to be, you're the one that we're going to compare folks to moving along in the future. I mean, because that's just the nature, our human nature, and the way things work that way. But I think also the comparisons will be great because you've done such an outstanding job. In many respects, I think, you know, at least in my circumstance, I feel like you've been a father figure to me. You know, a very young father, but a bit of a father figure in many respects, because I know when I came in here and took over this job, you helped mentor me along. And I think that that's part of the role of a county administrator, is to not just be the subordinate to the boss, but to be the person that makes the elected officials better. And that's something that you have done in spades. You did a triple Lindy and stuck the landing on that one. It's been absolutely outstanding. You know, I know that there are times when it's not all just kind of executing what it is that the five of us ask you to do, but having the courage to stand up at the times when you have to tell us what not to do. I can tell you, I know I've been in your office a couple of times where, you know, maybe you've kind of chewed me out a little bit and give me a bit of a finger wagging, and I walked out of there and said to myself, wow, I think I just got chewed out, but I feel pretty good about it. Because you always did it with such a grace and skill and wisdom that was necessary to be able to be effective in your job. And of course, you always did it with a story. You know, we have heard nothing but stories about your stories. And I think that it's good to hear all of that, because I think it truly epitomizes who you are. Certainly, I've heard all of the stories. I think I've heard them 3 or 4 times now. I love them. They've always had a little bit of a message that's gone along with them. I haven't always been able to discern it. But one of my absolute most favorite story that you tell, and I'm going to tell it here today, is absolutely incredible. And see, and here he is once again. I'm telling the story, his story. He's pulling up a chair. He knows what he does. I love the story. I'm talking about being in Virginia or Tennessee, in Chattanooga, when the old guy comes into the building department. He had been trying to get a permit of some sort to be able to work this piece of land, and for whatever reason, he hadn't been able to get the right permitting, and decided on his own, well, I'm not going to be able to get the permit. I'm just going to go ahead and take care of it on my own, and damn the whole permitting process. And so he's got this little plot of land that he wants to get out there and do some bulldozing on, and some folks had told him in the neighborhood, you can't be bulldozing there because there's an old cemetery that's in that area where you're going to be bulldozing, and you're going to end up disturbing the graves. And he says, well, no, there's not an old cemetery here. By gosh, I'm just going to go ahead and do what I want to do and start the bulldozing process. And he sure enough gets up there and starts the bulldozing process. Well, the neighbors called the cops on him. So the cops come out, and it wasn't just one cop, it was all the cops came out, and they call him down. He gets off of his bulldozer, comes down the hill, and is standing there talking to the police. And he says, and about that time, a gravestone rolls down the hill, slides down the hill, and just bumps one of the cops right in the ankle. And he says he reads on the gravestone, Frist. And if anybody knows, Charlie Frist from Tennessee, very famous politician there, and this Frist gravestone slides down the hill, bumps the cop in the leg, and the old guy says to Henry, he says, at that time, I knew I was going to jail. Now, I have no idea what that story means or what I was supposed to take away from it, but it's certainly, without a doubt, one of my favorite stories. Did I get it right? See, he wants to add to it.
Well, I just wanted to say it was in the area of the city called Bonnie Oaks. Isn't that right, John? Bonnie Oaks. The moral of that story is get a permit.
Just get it. Well, I guess that makes sense. Get a permit, don't go to jail. But that's the thing I've loved most about Henry is his willingness to tell a story. Sometimes they're self-deprecating, sometimes they mean something, sometimes they're just there to calm you down. But it always works, and it's always been a great thing. And I think that Henry's going to leave a legacy here, and not just in the stories that he told, but I think the greatest legacy anybody can ever leave when they move on from one job to another is that you leave it in better shape than it was when you got it. And I know without a doubt, you and I have been here about the same amount of time, 3.5 years. I can tell you unequivocally, without a doubt, this county is in better shape now because you were here. And I appreciate that, and I know we all appreciate that tremendously. You are going to be missed, but I think one of the great things you've done is made it better, and so the next person can take that and just grow from that. So Henry, I want to present you with a couple of flags that were flown over the state capitol. This is the Colorado flag, and it better sit in an area of prominence better than any of the other states that you've ever worked in. All right, Colorado, got to be the highest in terms of states. And here's a state flag, or the United States flag that was flown over the State House as well. Thank you so much. Thank you for the years of wisdom. Thank you for making me a better person. Thank you for making this county a better place, not just to live and work, but to take care of the citizens that are left in our charge. We are going to miss you, but your legacy is going to live on here forever. So thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate all you've given to this community. And with that, I'm going to call the roll. Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Oh, aye, aye. Okay, aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes unanimously. Congratulations. All right, we just have a couple of minutes of quick housekeeping here, and then we're all going to convene upstairs in the lobby. Well, we're going to go upstairs to do the picture, I believe. We're going to convene up there. Anybody that wants to be a part of the picture, please come up there as well. We're going to do the picture down here now. In my notes, it says upstairs. All right, so we're going to get through just a couple of seconds here. We're going to take a picture and then be upstairs for some refreshments and some stories. So with that, Madam County Administrator, item number 10.
Item 10, there are no matters called up.
Item number 11.
Public comment on items not scheduled on the agenda. Is there anyone present this morning who would like to comment on a matter that is not on today's agenda?
Is there anybody in the public that would like to comment on an item that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, item number 12.
Department and committee reports, non-action items.
Do we have any department or committee reports today? We better not. Item number 13.
There is no addendum today.
Item number 14.
No request for executive session.
We stand adjourned. Thank you all so much.